Hey, good morning, YouTubers and fellow model community. It's Mario Cosby coming at you. It's not going to be an update. It's a slight. I'm not going to say it's a small tutorial. It's going to be a little lengthy. I have. I'm doing a tutorial on my painting and the processes that I use or that works for me in my paint. On some of my paint jobs on my vehicles, on these models that I've been building. Again, I want to emphasize this. I'm not an expert. This is what works for me and the products that I use. I'm not endorsing in no way. These are the products that I use and have been successful in using them. My models, I got them all laid out. Well, not all of them, but just a few of them. My models are, let me back this out. They speak for me. Of course, they're on, they're on my site, on my YouTube's page. But these are the things that worked for me. So I just want to pass that on to you guys, some of you that are still trying to get what we call the show quality finish. Some of you may be still struggling with that. I do not use Future floor wax for my clear. I think I used it years ago, and I had good results, but you're not going to get a finish like this, a glass finish on your model using floor polish or floor wax. You'll get a nice sheen, but it won't have the depth, is what I'm saying, and it won't transform that base coat or your color coat into the depth that you're looking for. And when we say miles deep, this is miles deep. Dr. Cranky uses that, miles deep. I like that. So again, I'm no expert in no way, shape, or form. I just use what works for me. And again, even what works for me sometimes don't work. So I mean, that sounds strange, but I have a hood over here that I just got done shooting. I don't know how well you can see, but this thing's got orange peel in it. There it is, like there's nobody's business. See it? So I gotta wait. I'm gonna shoot it one more time. Normally the second coat will take all that out, but it does happen. So if it doesn't take it out, I'll wait a few days, sand it down, and hope I'll sand it down enough to where I'll get it nice and smooth, and then buff it out. So we'll see. But anyway, these are the products that I use, and I'll explain them to you. But first, let's start with the body. Normally, what I would do with a body is, let me see if I can find one. I should have had one out. Just a plain old body. Let me see. Sorry about this, fellas. I should have had one out, and I didn't. So give me a few seconds here. Let me put this down, and let me pull one out real quick. Alright, here we go. Here's your body. Normally what I would do with that body, a lot of people like washing them in soapy water and warm water. I don't. And the reason I don't do it is because you got to paper towel it or whatever, and then hopefully you got all the water out of it. Sometimes I've done it in the past and wind up shooting my primer on there, and there's this little blob of looks like a little wart on the body, or a little blister. Find out that was water. Then you blow it off or wipe it off, and then it looks horrible. But anyway, what I normally do is I'll show you the products here. This is a 3M scouring pad. It is what is known as an in-between coat sander. So meaning that you sand in between this, you use this to sand in between coats. What I normally do is, first of all, I look for any body imperfections, any mold lines that were left behind. You know, this one doesn't have it. Yeah, it does. It's a mold line right here. I don't know how well you can see that. See it right there between the quarter panel and the pillar, the roof pillar. I'll sand that out first. And what I normally do, how I do that, is I'll take my 600 sandpaper. Then once that's sanded out, I'll take my 800 wet and dry. And of course I use it wet. Then after that's done, then I'll go over the whole car with this scouring pad. Once that's done, I come over here, take my rubbing alcohol. This is why I don't use warm soap and water. I'll use rubbing alcohol. Does the same thing. What you want to do is get rid of the release agent that is on the mold. I mean on the body, because what they do is when they're making this body, they have a mold and they inject plastic in the mold, but in that mold it has silicone. It's impermeated in the mold itself. So once they inject the plastic into the mold, they'll wait a few seconds and pop the product out of the mold. And if they didn't have silicone or some sort of release agent in it, then it wouldn't come out the mold. So they normally use silicone. Silicone, as we know, is the enemy of any paint. You don't want oils or silicone. You don't want oils or any silicone-based product around paint at all. That's your enemy. So what I'll do is take rubbing alcohol in a paper towel and rub down the whole body or the part. You know, I say the body. It depends on what part that I am painting. If I buy a model and the model's black, well, we know every part in there is black. Besides the chrome. So what I'll do is, if it's a Chevy or a Ford or a Chrysler, what I will do is I will take spray paint the part. Say if it's an engine block, I'll glue the block together, get it all ready as much as I can before chrome parts go on there, and then I'll take my Duplicolor primer, spray paint it. I won't sand it or anything like that. Come on, fellas. Nobody's touching it, or young ladies. I got to remember this. Women or young ladies that do this also. There's nobody. You're not touching. You know, the only reason you sand is because you want the paint to adhere to the product that you're painting. So again, I don't sand. You know, if I'm doing the interior tub, if it's black and I want to do a different color, any type of different color, I'll primer it first and then shoot the color that I'm or paint. You know, brush it on with a brush or shoot it with the color that that color of my desire that I want to do it in. But as far as the body is concerned, I'll wipe it down with the rubbing alcohol. After all that's done, I'll take my tack cloth and wipe it off. After that's done, then I'll shoot my primer. Now, I do not sand in between coats of primer. I'll get back to that in a second as to why I don't. Well, we'll do it right now. I feel it's just a waste of time. Again, this is my own experience. I have, you know, what you guys do, if you want to sand between coats, you go right ahead. Primer coats, knock yourself out. Me, I don't do it. I don't feel it's necessary. And again, here's the proven products. Okay, my models. What I will do is I'll shoot it. I'll take a look at it under light. And then I'll wait 20 minutes according to the directions on the back of the can. I'll wait 20 minutes on Duplicolor. I want you to wait about 20 minutes. Then I'll shoot another color. Then I'll let that thing sit there for 24 hours. Now, once those 2 coats are on there, I go back again to my scouring pad and I'll sand it back down again. That's the only between coats that I do, because I'm between primer and base color. That's when I'll sand. And I only use the scouring pad. I don't use 12, 1500, 800 wet and dry at all. I don't want to take off the primer I just put on there. So at that point, then I lay down my base coat. Now normally what I use is Duplicolor base, but Duplicolor doesn't make some of the colors that I like. One of them's like this green. The other one was like the Riviera, which is, it looks pink, but it's called light red. They don't make on the Chevelle the White Lightning. They don't make this, this purple. They do make a purple, but not like this. That's on the 65 Impala. The red, however, and this burgundy here is all Duplicolor. This red is Duplicolor. Actually, that's the red right there. This burgundy color on the Oldsmobile is a really nice color. The colors that are on my Ford Galaxy are all Duplicolor. All of them. That's a tricolor, by the way. Now, what I'll do is I'll sand that primer down a little, get it as smooth as possible with that, and it works great. Then I'll wipe it down again with alcohol, because remember, grease, your hands have grease in them. I'll put a rubber glove on it sometimes when I do that, because I'm right-handed, and put a rubber glove on my left hand. I'll wipe it down with alcohol. I'll saturate a paper towel with alcohol and then wipe it down. And then I'll tack it again because of the lint that's on the paper towels. Then I'll shoot my base color. And I normally shoot 2 to 3 coats, and it depends on the base coat. If it's a candy color and I'm trying to get a certain depth of color, I may shoot more than 3 colors. Like this red, I think I only had to shoot it twice, 2 colors on that red, only because that's not a candy color. The other thing with the Oldsmobile. Now the reason why is because Duplicolor is an automotive paint, and it's a durable paint and a tough paint. So you can only put 2 colors and don't worry about anything after that, meaning any imperfections, or if it all starts with your base. If your base is right, everything else after that's going to be right up to your clear. And that's another story. So that's what I'll do. I'll put 2 to 3 coats on there, depending on the color that I'm using. If it's a candy color, I'm trying to get a certain depth. I have a model. So I don't know. I got something around here that has a candy. But anyway, I'll use up to 5 coats is what I'm trying to say. The other thing you got to remember is the more paint you put on a model, the more detail you take out of the body. Unless every model I do, I use my scribing tool around the doors, around the trunk area, any molded in lines. I'll use it on that, meaning that if you look at the 60, see the molded line right here and on there over there, that's what I mean by molded lines. I'll use a scriber in there. Again, the more paint you put on a vehicle, on a body, the more detail you take out of the body. So you want to be cognizant of that. You got to remember that. I normally hold my can 6 to 8 inches, 6 to 12 inches away from me. And for those guys, this is my fancy model holder right here. A can, I put some tape on it, put it right down on top of it. Normally I'll glue the lid onto the can, because it'll be an empty can or a can that I'm not going to use at any time. And that way it's not spinning on its own when I'm turning it to do the different colors. I mean, to do the different panels. And normally I'll paint left to right or right to left, and I go the whole panel back and forth, a couple of times, and then on the other side a couple of times, and then the top or whatever. That's how I do it. Then once that process is done, I go back to my scouring pad. By the way, you can pick this up at AutoZone or any automotive store. You want to use the gray one. Don't use the green or the red. They're just too heavy. I'll sand it back down. Normally I wait 24 hours. I'll sand it back down. Just again, enough to rough it up. Take the shine off of it, so that way the clear coat has something to adhere to. That's the whole thing. You want to knock the shine off so you can have something that the paint can adhere to. Now, this is the paint that I use. I've tried different paints. Believe me, I have. Different clears I've tried left and right. So far, the Rust-Oleum is the best I've ever used. That's a tough acrylic lacquer. Normally I use 2 coats and 2 coats only. Anything more than that, that's just you're just wasting it at that point. As you can see, comes out perfect. Now, there are times where there's a compatibility issue that I have right now with that lacquer clear, and this is the Tamiya's not Tamiya's, this is Tester's 1 coat base. It's got orange peel. I don't know if you can see. There you go, against the light. It's got orange peel. What I'll do is shoot another coat on that. Normally I would probably just rub it out and sand it out and then shoot it again, but what I'm going to do this time, again, I'm experimenting. I'm going to shoot another clear coat on it and then let it sit 24 hours. Then I'll rub it out. They normally want you to wait normally want you to wait 48 hours on this Rust-Oleum acrylic lacquer before you rub it out. Now, once the clear's on there and I'm satisfied with that, then what I'll do is again wait 24 to 48 hours. Now we got the sanding process. Now, I don't use regular sandpaper. I just don't do it because again, I just think the sandpaper, between the sandpaper and your hand, there's no cushion in between, and I feel that you've just you can't really tell how much pressure you're putting on the sanding of the lacquer. And there's times when I'm sanding, next thing I know, there's color in the water, because I use water. I use all water-based sandpaper, and I use water. I'm sanding this thing, and next thing I know, I'm looking at sandpaper. There's a little water in there. I mean, it's a little of the color, and I'm saying, oh, I must have sanded through the clear coat into the base coat. So that's something that you got to be very careful of doing. That's why I like this acrylic lacquer. It's a tough lacquer. You can sand this doggone thing. I mean, eventually you go to get through the clear coat, but 9 times out of 10 you won't, because it's a very tough clear coat, and you can sand it out to where it's nice and smooth before anything of that happens. Now, this is the process that I use. These pads, this is 1500. I'll use that on that hood of that of this model I'm just painting with the orange peel on the hood. I'll use that. I'll start with that. Then I'll start. This is 3200, 3600, 4000, 6000, 8000, and 12000. What'll happen when you start it with the 3200? I normally don't start with 1500. I start with 3200. The only reason I'm using 1500 this time is because of the imperfections that are in that hood. That'll take it out really, really quick, and then I can go ahead and use the rest of them very easily. I'll start with 3200, and what'll happen? It's going to leave a haze, or it's going to look like it's hazed. It's not going to look clear at all because you just sanded it, of course. Now, and then I progressively go up. Now, I don't waste too much time sanding it. I'll sit there, sand it, maybe, I'll do right side, left side, then trunk, and then hood, and then the fenders or whatever. That's the way I do it. I don't waste too much time, maybe a minute or two. Then I move on to the next one. Everything is wet. I use water with these. Now, the reason I like these pads because they got a little cushion in between. See the cushion there? And it's double-sided. You pick these up at Hobby Lobby. I think up like $6-7. It's a whole kit. It doesn't come with the rubbing compound, just the sandpaper. Then I move on progressively till I get to 1200. By the time I get to 1200, I can damn near see the color real nice. It's not shiny, but it's almost there. Then after the 1200's all done, then I'll go to my rubbing compound. The reason I love, again, I'm not promoting any product. This is what I use. I use the Milligan's Ultimate Compound, and I'll rub it. I'll use. I get these rags here. They got a little texture to them, microfiber cloths. They come. That's what I'll use. And then I'll take my rubbing compound, dab a little on there. I'll do a panel at a time, rub it out until I see no more scratches in the paint. Then after that, I come to my, again, I'm not promoting any product, the Milligan's Clear Wax, Cleaner Wax, because the Cleaner Wax got a little abrasive in it also. And I'll rub that on there. I don't rub it a lot, I just smear it on a little. And then wait a few minutes and take it off. And there's your product right there. Now, I hope I answered a lot of questions and didn't make a whole lot of questions, I hope this all worked for everybody and that you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Again, this is the way I do things. Everybody else does it different. And again, the climate that you paint in has a tremendous amount to do with the finished product. I have a finished basement. Part of my finished basement is just for me and my wife when we want to come downstairs, or she wants to come. Basically, she comes downstairs with me because I'm always down here. She'll come downstairs with me because she wants to spend time with me. And part of my basement is finished. It's not my man cave. I don't consider this a man cave at all, or any type of man cave. My wife is always welcome down here, because this is our home also. So part of it is the basement is finished real nice, as you can see. There's my television, things like that. But anyway, but I have a little cubby hole. I'm going to show this to you guys now, so take a little walk with me. This is where I keep all my, this used to be my video. I still got to put my videos back in there. But anyway, now I use it as my spray paint holder. But back in here is, this is my little cubby hole. And this is my furnace right here. Back in here is my, I don't know how well you can see that, but my heater and stuff like that. I mean, my hot water tank is here. But what I want to show you is this is where I keep my models, a lot of my kits. These are my 1/12 stuff, and it goes all the way back. It's my smaller stuff. But this is what I wanted to show you, this hole. Now this hole goes all the way to the back of the house. And over in this area up in here is my living room. And it goes way back. So this is where, if you look, you can see that this is where I do my spray painting. Right in here. It's all insulated in there. I don't know how well you can see that, if you can see it at all. It's all insulated in there. There's little tiny holes in there. Of course, it gets a little cold in here. To where my AC lines for the house, for the house comes in. So it's able to vent out. But again, this is a controlled environment. For you guys that are in Florida, that you guys that are out in your garages that are painting, I don't consider that. Well, it could be a controlled area if the garage door is pretty well sealed. But the ideal temperatures to paint The painting is between, they say on the back of the, between 60 and 70 or 80, somewhere in there, with very low humidity. In Florida during the summertime, I know it gets extremely hot and extremely humid. In Arizona, it's always hot, but no humidity. So again, it depends on the environment. As you can see, I got a baseboard heater there. And what I'll do is, that's why those cans are up against the wall there. What I normally do is I'll lay the can that I'm going to be using for spray painting, whatever color primer, whatever. I'll lay it against that wall and let it heat up. Doesn't get tremendously hot, but it gets warm, and it's enough to build pressure in the can, but also so it'll flow out real nice. But also it gives the paint a little warmth to it, so when it does hit the body, it's warm, it's going to flow right, it's going to dry good. So I don't know what to tell you guys as far as those that live in harsh climates, bad climates, where things are, you got to wait 1 month out of the year to spray paint a car or something like that. My thing is dry and warm. Always works. Always works. So there you have it. I hope this tutorial was a blessing to everyone that watches it. I hope you can glean something from it. Again, I'm no expert. This is what works for Mario. So till next time, YouTube community, God bless.